I can tell if there's a likelihood of injury or not.
If you need physical therapy for any reason, choose the place your friends and neighbors do. MRS Physical Therapy in Bridgewater and Cranberry. Visit mrsphysicaltherapy.com.
You're listening to 99.3 FM, presented by St. Barnabas, in addition to 1230 WBVP Beaver Falls.
As far back as I could remember, I always knew everyone in our government was a gangster.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode, the Thursday episode of Thinking Logically. I'm your host, Joseph Anthony Corsai. With us in studio, he's our producer and I guess the voice of the common man, Ryan. Ryan, how are things?
Good day, mate. I'm doing very good. How you doing, man?
I'm doing great, man.
Good.
And on the phone, we think, holding down Allegheny County as always, it's our co-host, Mr. Gordy. Mark, quite a lot of new news topics here. Are you still on the phone?
Joe, I'm here. Welcome. Yeah, it's good to be with you guys again. And it's been a week, Joe. I mean, we have tons of stuff we need to talk about today. And this is going to be a doozy of an episode, I'm sure. So let's get into it.
Okay, I want to start off today's episode with a tweet from Maze Moore on X regarding personal lives of politicians and how they're covered by our media. So this is from Maze Moore. RFK Jr. used to keep track of his affairs in a ledger. He cheated on his wife so often that by his own admission, just driving home without stopping to cheat on her was a great success. His wife was so troubled that she ended up killing herself. You will never hear the mainstream media or politicians question his decency. They might call him a conspiracy theorist, but they don't bring up his personal life. Just like they don't call out Biden for his lies, including the ridiculous fable about how he met Jill. Trump's entire life has been investigated, and it's actually shocking at how little wrong they have found. Imagine what would be found if RFK Jr. or Biden or any other politician was investigated in the same way that Trump has the last 8 years. And that brings us to our first topic, obviously, the Trump Stormy Daniels hush money trial. Michael Cohen testified today and on Tuesday, and so far, if you're keeping track in the past 4 or 5 years, actually 6 years probably, he's lied to Congress, he's lied to the IRS, he lied to his banker, he lied to the Southern District of New York. I would say he probably even lies in his sleep, but if you see his face, it looks like he hasn't slept in months. In fact, the only place he hasn't lied is on a mattress, MyPillow mattress topper. Michael, you can sentence sleepless nights to death with just one call to the MyPillow store. Just make sure you use the promo code LOGIC when you buy. But on a serious note, Michael Cohen is lying on the stand. I mean, even CNN and MSNBC have to admit this. This is from Anderson Cooper today. It was incredible. Quote, lawyers want to build a box around the witness and slam it shut. That's what Todd Blanche did to Cohen. It was an extraordinarily cross-examination. Cohen was cornered in a lie. And then yesterday we saw Michael Cohen's former lawyer, Bob Costello, testify to some bombshell things at a congressional committee hearing. Bob Costello, who is, like I said, Michael Cohen's former lawyer, testified that Michael Cohen told him, one, he didn't believe the Stormy Daniels allegations at all, but he paid Stormy all on his own to save Melania the embarrassment. He also testified that Michael Cohen told him that Donald Trump had no knowledge of any of this. Bob Costello also dropped another bombshell about Alvin Bragg and his office. Costello said he spent over 90 minutes in a Zoom meeting with every Bragg assistant DA prior to this trial. He said he provided them with receipts about what really happened, and they ignored him. See, Michael Cohen waived his attorney-client privilege for some reason. And Bob Costello told Alvin Bragg in his office what Michael Cohen had told him. Also, if it weren't enough, Bob Costello has 333 emails that prove Cohen perjured himself during this trial. I don't understand where to even go here for this. It's common knowledge Michael paid for this with his own funds. Mark, where do we go from here now?
Well, everything I read today about this testimony, I mean, this is the second day of cross-examination, correct?
Yes. Oh, yeah.
So everything I read today about his cross-examination, was pretty much exactly how you described himself. Described Michael Cohen, convicted perjurer, convicted liar. Apparently today, it blew up in the prosecution's faces because he claimed he never met with Alvin Bragg. They said, look, no, you said here you met with Alvin Bragg, talking about showing, TikTok videos of how bad he wants to get Trump, all this stuff like that. So from what I read in many sources on X, this was a disaster today for the prosecution. Now, whether that means they're going to change the jury's mind remains to be seen. At this point, Joe, I wouldn't even mind a guilty verdict because all this is doing is helping Trump. The longer this goes on, the more people are waking up to this injustice that is happening in New York City. Today we saw Matt Gaetz, Anna Paulina Luna, Lauren Boebert, 3 other congressmen. Their names are evading me right now, but so we're seeing more Republican support, more people getting up there in New York and supporting President Trump. But Joe, we even saw an MSNBC interview where they were down in Georgia interviewing people about this, and the people in Georgia said, this is not changing our mind one bit. This is actually making us want to vote for President Trump even more. So normally I would say the Democrats are pretty smart, but this is backfiring on them, I think, and the polls back that up.
Also, I want to remind our audience, because this happened, I think, on Tuesday. One of Alvin Bragg's paralegals, I think his name was Jaden Schreiner or something, I don't know. He admitted on the stand that the prosecutors deleted call records between Michael Cohen and Michael Cohen's, was it his attorney, Keith Davidson? I can't even remember. And the prosecution submitted the records into evidence, but they deleted some of the records. This whole trial is the plane is crashed into the mountain on this one. It's over. What are they going to do? They're going to have to. Are they going to convict him? Their best outcome is a hung jury, and if they convict him, they have to throw the book at him. We were told these are heinous charges. They can't give him no jail time. They can't give him nothing at all if he's convicted. So what are they going to do? Look,
Joe, I have to ask you, and this is number one: how much pressure do you think is on Judge Juan Merchan to get a guilty verdict out of this, based on his daughter's work with that firm she works for?
Probably a lot of pressure. But it doesn't.
Apparently. Go ahead.
It doesn't matter at this point. I'm glad it's like this. I'm glad it's like this, and hopefully the people can see, because this is ridiculous. In the gag order too, I've never seen in Michael Cohen's former attorney Costello mentioned this too. He's never seen an actual defendant be gagged. Usually it's witnesses.
Right. And my second question is: do you think, and this is diving into conspiracy land here, do you think there's any sort of juror tampering going on? Do you think the government has gotten to the jurors a little bit and said, "We want this, we want this verdict"?
Well, I'll lay this out for my audience. Who do you think is more likely to get to a juror? Donald Trump or this DOJ, this prosecution that's already been caught with their hands in the cookie jar numerous times? Would it surprise you if they were trying to stack the jury? Because they don't do it in ways like you think of. They would have already had it baked in with the jury pool, and that's what they did. So that was the intention from the beginning. So, yes. Are they going further than that? I don't know. Maybe.
Yeah, well, like we said,
they're deleting evidence.
Joe, would you rather prefer a not guilty verdict or a guilty verdict at this point?
I want to see a guilty verdict. I want to see what they do, honestly.
Me too.
I'm not going to lie. Okay, how about this headline from the Washington Post? How in the world is Trump's trial not hurting him? These people are just so out of touch. So out of touch. Listen, and I also have to say this too. I think this is on Tuesday. He stepped out of the courtroom to give his normal speech, and Donald Trump walked out of the courtroom with a mugshot of an illegal immigrant that was just charged with murdering an infant. Remember how mad people get, when kids are killed with handguns and everything like that. But illegal immigrant right here, picture of him. I haven't heard this story until Donald Trump brought it up. And this is amazing how Donald Trump, this guy, is doing this. He is bypassing the gag order by reading what other people say about this trial. It's amazing. Judge Merchan, fine or jail him for this. Please, I dare you. And then after that, he basically gets free airtime again in front of the cameras to say whatever he wants about the state of our country, election issues, whatever, and the news media has to cover it. This is just like 2016. These idiots, and I mean they are idiots, are giving him free speeches every Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday. He doesn't even have to pay for venues or security. He's campaigning from the steps of a federal courthouse while battling bogus charges for where, at worst, like we said, he'll walk on a pill and become more popular. Mark, anything else before we move on to this, another bombshell story?
Just so all of our listeners understand, they are making Trump a martyr by this. This is not going to end well for the Democrats. And, if Trump wins, if and when Trump wins, hopefully the justice system will come back around on the other way in 2025 and give these people what they deserve.
Okay, another bombshell story from today. The White House reported it was going to block the release of Biden's special counsel interview, the audio from that interview with Robert Hur. And they also said the GOP is being very political for asking for it. So Biden invoked executive privilege to prevent the release of the recording with special counsel Hur. Now, a few things. Why do you even need to claim executive privilege over the recording when we have the transcript? The transcript was released. Does everyone remember? Another thing, Mark, and then I'll hand it over to you. Why is Peter Navarro in prison again? Peter Navarro was charged and found guilty after he refused to comply with a subpoena from the House Select Committee that investigated January 6th. That whole attack on the Capitol thing. He was sentenced to 4 months in prison for defying a congressional committee's subpoena. He was held in contempt of Congress. And let's look over executive privilege real quick on Wikipedia. It's the right of the President of the United States and other members of the executive branch to maintain confidential communications under certain circumstances within the executive branch and to resist some subpoenas and other oversight by the legislative and judicial branches of government. Peter Navarro never had to testify. He wasn't, by law, he was never required to testify, and they held him in contempt of Congress. Now, I'll ask you, audience, Obama's DOJ, did they prosecute Eric Holder or Lois Lerner following their contempt of Congress referrals after they invoked executive privilege? Anyone remember? No, they didn't. The last time anyone was sentenced for contempt of Congress was in 1948. I mean, we were just getting over the Nazis. Some on the left will have you think the Nazis are back. Maybe they are. Maybe they are the Nazis. Anyway, Peter Navarro was protected by executive privilege and was under no obligation to testify before the corrupt January 6th committee. It didn't matter if Trump invoked executive privilege or not. Peter Navarro doesn't have to show up to Congress. A judiciary court? Maybe. I don't know. Yes, probably. But a congressional hearing? No. Let's not forget he was arrested in public on a commercial airline, I think. And just to make a scene, they put him in leg shackles. Remember, Special Counsel Hur did not find that Joe Biden did not commit a crime. He just said the mental capacity of Biden was so diminished that he probably couldn't stand trial or participate in his own defense. Mark, where am I going wrong?
Well, speaking of executive privilege, isn't that what Steve Bannon's trying to claim? Because apparently he's going to jail next. And from what I read yesterday, and correct me if I'm wrong here, Judge Juan Merchan is going to preside over Steve Bannon's sentencing hearing, if I'm not mistaken.
You are correct.
So out of all the judges in New York, Joe, how does Juan Merchan keep getting these cases, these trials? I mean, it makes you wonder how much collusion is going on with the DOJ in the Southern District of New York and Alvin Bragg. Let's connect the dots. Like Mike Davis said, Joe, this is a criminal conspiracy. As far as executive privilege goes, I don't know what can be done here, how we can get these audio tapes. Maybe someone leaks them, who knows. But I don't know. Can Congress subpoena the audio from Robert Hur?
You could subpoena
I'm not
whatever.
really sure.
You could do whatever you want, but no teeth. There's no teeth on this side of the aisle.
No, apparently not. I mean, so Steve Bannon will be the next to be martyred for this, for defying a subpoena. And again, if we win 2025 to 2029, we should see all of these things happen to the other side. So let's fight fire with fire if we get the opportunity to. But I would love to know what they're hiding with these tapes, Joe. What could be so devastating that they can't release this stuff? That's what I want to know.
He's going to sound like he's a window licker. He's going to sound like he eats crayons for breakfast. That's why. I'm pretty sure in the audio he was talking about his Corvette when he was being questioned, and he said something about Corvette go vroom. That's a quote. Don't believe me, look it up. I'm pretty sure it was exactly like that. And he was the one that brought up his son, Bo. Robert Hur didn't bring him up, and then he said that Robert Hur was the one that brought him up. Release the audio. I dare you. It's weird that they don't want to release the audio when the transcripts are there. How terrible can it be? It makes you wonder. Okay, we got to take a break, but when we come back, Trump and Biden are going to debate in front of a crowd of absolutely no one for some reason. The last time these two were on stage, Joe Biden lied about his son.
Hey guys, it's Joe from Thinking Logically.
Sorry, we're still back. The last time these two were on stage, Joe Biden lied about his son Hunter's laptop and Ukraine dealings. This time, will he lie about his daughter Ashley's diary and his feelings? We're going to discuss it when we return to Thinking Logically here on 99.3 WBVP. Cash for your house. PGHbuyers.com. If you have an unwanted house but don't want the hassle of selling, visit PGHbuyers.com to see if PGHbuyers.com can help. No inspections and a fair cash offer. Visit PGHbuyers.com to sell that unwanted property for a fair price today. It's Joe Corsi here from Thinking Logically to tell you about Beaver County's #1 realtor, Mark Gullah with RE/MAX Select Realty. With over 10 years experience, Mark knows all the ins and outs of the real estate business, so whether you're looking to rent, buy, sell, or swap your house, you can rely on Mark to take the hassle out. Mark Gullah of RE/MAX Select Realty, going above and beyond. It's Joe again from Thinking Logically, here to tell you about one of my favorite clothing items, the MyPillow hoodie. Two things I love the most about this hoodie are how it fits and how it feels. This hoodie is extremely roomy, and its terry cloth material makes it lighter than any other hoodie I own. Use promo code LOGIC to maximize your savings. The MyPillow hoodie. Get yours today.
Hey guys, it's Joe from Thinking Logically here to tell you about a company I've been using since I got my learner's permit. Grossi & Associates. Using their state-of-the-art equipment, Grossi & Associates offers collision repair for all makes and models, both foreign and domestic. There's a reason why they are voted Best of the Valley year in and year out. They are the collision experts. Grossi & Associates. Call today for a free estimate.
The views and opinions expressed on WBVP and WMBA are those of the participants and host. They are not necessarily the viewpoint of WBVP and WMBA, its staff, management, and advertisers. Thank you for listening to WBVP and WMBA.
Welcome back to Thinking Logically on our hometown 99.3 FM WBVP. Before the break, we were talking about how the justice system did a total 180 when it came to precedent in the last 80 years or so and sentenced Peter Navarro to 4 months in prison for defying a congressional subpoena when he invoked executive privilege. Now we're going to talk about another 180, this time by President Joe Biden. He now wants to debate Trump. Don't believe me? Listen.
Donald Trump lost 2 debates to me in 2020. Since then, he hadn't shown up for debate. Now he's acting like he wants to debate me again. Well, make my day, pal. I'll even do it twice. So let's pick the dates, Donald. I hear you're free on Wednesdays.
I hear you're free on Wednesdays. Could that be because his...
Har, har, har. Oh, Joe, you're so funny. Which one of your staffers came up with that?
Could he be the best part is the joke is, are you free? You're free on Wednesdays. That's because Biden's Department of Justice is the one going after Trump. They even went to the White House and talked to his administration about this. There's records, there's logs, everything. Anyway, you have to watch the video because you just hear the audio and it doesn't sound that bad. But what you'll notice when you watch the video has about 5 or 6 jump cuts. So he said about 3 dozen words. And that took 5 or 6 jump cuts. Are we to believe this guy can only say one sentence at a time? And then, make my day, pal? What is this? A spaghetti western? Now, also, why on God's green earth would an incumbent president who claims he's doing so well want to have a debate in June? Does that make any sense? With no audience and the mics being cut off. I can see why he would want the mics being cut off, I guess. But you got to ask yourself, he's refusing to debate Trump in front of an audience of voters. Why? This is from Julie Kelly on X. Apparently, it's not okay for any elected official to comment on Trump's New York criminal trial, but it's okay for Biden, whose DOJ helped facilitate the case, to mock Trump's limited ability because he's stuck in court 4 days a week. And she's right. Again, Mark, before I get to you, the jump cuts, 6 and 14 seconds. We saw him give a speech in the Rose Garden the other day and then get lost on the way back to the Oval Office, which is directly behind him. Joe Biden, without a pre-recorded video and 6 jump cuts, has to be shown which way to walk by a Marine in a house that he has lived in for the past 3 years. At least he's lived in Monday through Thursday when he's on a vacation in Delaware. Mark, what did you think when you saw this?
Oh, I almost didn't believe it, Joe. I thought, oh, here we go, But it's obvious why they're doing this. Number one, I mean, they need to boost. They have nothing to lose. They probably saw the polling in all the swing states. Biden's getting trounced in most of the swing states. It's kind of close in Wisconsin and PA. But they probably feel like, oh, what do we have to lose? Let's come out and act like we're going to debate Trump. Now, whether these debates happen or not remains to be seen. They are going outside of the Presidential Commission on Debates. Apparently, the Biden campaign was upset from 2020. So now it's up to the two campaigns to negotiate the terms of these debates. So apparently the first one's going to be on CNN. One of the stipulations from the Biden campaign is that they do not want a live audience. Makes sense. So is this going to be in a TV studio, like we're back in the JFK Nixon debate in 60 or so? So that's one. Number two, Joe, how much adrenochrome and adrenaline are they going to pump up Biden with before this debate?
All of it. And he's going to need 2 or 3 easy days prior and 2 or 3 easy days after.
Yeah. He's going to be so hopped up on whatever they gave him for the State of the Union, whether that's Adderall, Coke, I don't know. But they'll have him ready to go. And don't underestimate Biden either. He could probably pull something off for an hour. But, Joe, these debates really don't do a whole lot. The debates are over with. All right, this is just posturing almost. It's almost like, for TV. Is Trump going to, mop the floor with Biden? Probably. But who has more to gain here, Joe? Obviously Biden does, because he's down in every poll. Even the Real Clear Politics, the average of these polls that they put together, Trump is up in every one of them. We saw the New York Times Siena poll came out yesterday that had Joe Scarborough wetting his pants on Morning Joe over, where I think Trump was up like 12 in Nevada. Guess what? That's because blacks, Latinos, and young voters are all breaking for Trump. So they need to change the direction of this campaign. Biden does. And I feel like that's why they kind of challenged him and called him out a little bit. And Trump accepted within like an hour. Sure. Anytime. So apparently there's a third one. The second one's going to be on ABC. And the third one, I think, is proposed on Fox, but hasn't been agreed to yet. But, I'm sure it's going to be, they'll do what they can, the moderators to, little hit job on Trump during the debate. But we'll see. I can't wait. What is it, June 27th and September something?
Mark my words, he won't be there for one of the two. Something will happen in the next 6 to 12 weeks where
we got a
be a
text
nice
from a
excuse.
listener here while we were on the air, someone that listens to the show, and he believes, one of our listeners, that if Trump is found guilty, he's a convicted felon at this point, the Biden team will back out. Agree or disagree?
I think it's very possible, but I don't know how that solves anything because Trump is not going to go away. He will run from prison. He's even said it. So I don't know how it works. You can still run. People have run in the past. There's precedent there. These debates can't happen, though. They won't happen. And here's another good reason. This is an amazing tweet from Raheem Kassam on X. They thought they could go through this campaign without Biden having to address Trump directly. The whole apparatus would do the lifting for him. They now understand that isn't working, and they have to have a head-to-head to try to reframe it. They'll pump Biden full of Adderall and have him up there screaming about COVID and Putin and rape. But honestly, if I were Trump, I'd have a photocopy of Ashley Biden's diary in my pocket and say, if you want to talk about rape, let's talk about what your daughter wrote about you in her diary. The last time we stood on this stage together, Joe, you lied to the American public and said your son's laptop wasn't real. Everyone knows it was. And why you were hiding that, it's full of corruption, of course. But this, Joe, did you rape your daughter? Did you do it, Joe? And that would be something to see. And we could go over numerous reasons. In the next two topics with tariffs and everything, we'll go over reasons why this debate can't happen for Biden. It would be a suicide mission for him.
Well, I mean, any bump in a poll, say Biden were to get a small bump in a poll, usually the bumps in these polls are temporary, and then it kind of levels off. And I think the second debate, if I'm not mistaken, is actually kind of like after early voting begins. So we'll see. Again, these debates are seen by, 30, 40 million people. Does everyone in the country kind of know where these two guys stand on the issues? Probably. But there are still some we have to remember that are probably in the dark and really don't pay attention to these guys and need to hear that. Joe, if I was Trump, I would do exactly what you said, or what that tweet said.
Well, another thing, too,
100%.
That's just one aspect. That's just the aspect of the diary and his daughter and the son, the family stuff. What's going to happen? Look at the other day. Joe Biden announced that new tariffs are going to be on $18 billion worth of Chinese exports this week, which is weird because, again, this will be brought up at the debate by Trump. It's weird because 4 years ago, he thought the idea of putting tariffs on China was, quote, senseless. Let's read some of these tweets from Joe Biden in 2019. This is from Joe Biden, June 11th, 2019 at 1:59 p.m. on X. Trump doesn't get the basics. He thinks his tariffs are being paid by China. Any freshman econ student could tell you that the American people are paying his tariffs. The cashiers at Target see what's going on. They know more about economics than Trump. Hashtag Team Joe. And I'm going to read one more. This is again from Joe Biden on August 2nd, 2019. Yet more proof that Trump doesn't care about farmers, workers, and the consumers that are being crushed by his irresponsible tariff war with China. It's easy to act tough when someone else is feeling the pain. I will reverse his senseless policies. Mark. I will reverse his senseless policies. This is why the debates are a bad idea for Biden, but maybe those stipulations he made Trump agree to will save him or help him at least a little bit. I don't know. Everything is a giant hypocrisy. He can't say anything about the tariffs.
No, I mean, in a debate, all you would have to do is ask him, Joe, why did you put tariffs on Chinese electric vehicles when you criticized me for putting tariffs on Chinese steel? I mean, I like tariffs. So, I mean, this is an ode to the American car manufacturers that are getting crushed and losing billions of dollars on their electric vehicles, because no one wants to buy them. So, I mean, one way to help the car manufacturers sell more electric vehicles or slap tariffs on cheap imported Chinese electric vehicles. So all you have to do is ask them, Joe, why did you said this back then, and all of a sudden you're putting tariffs on Chinese-made cars? Doesn't make sense.
How about our next topic too? This is why a debate can't happen. Ukraine. This is from Jack Posobiec on Twitter. Breaking. Ukrainian Corruption Center reports the Northern Border Defense funds were diverted to fake companies, letting Russians walk right across the border in their new Kharkiv offensive. And then literally, I think the next day, Mark, U.S. Secretary of State Blinken announced $2 more billion for the Ukraine military yet in Kiev. What? Another thing, what is going to happen whenever he talks about the phone call that Trump was impeached for versus the phone call that we can't see Biden have with Zelensky in early mid-February of 2022, I believe it was. Do you see? And we got about a minute before the break. Do you see? Like any pick a topic. These debates cannot happen. But did you see about this Ukraine offensive and just the money just gone?
I did. I mean, that's why, I mentioned last episode that maybe someone will take Zelensky out, in his inner circle or something like that to end this war. But you know what, Joe? If these people are getting wealthy, not even rich, wealthy off this American money flowing into Ukraine, maybe they're happy with the status quo. Because that's what seems to be happening. They're setting up shell companies. That sounds familiar. And they're becoming wealthy off this American money that the money's not even getting to the front lines. And then after $60 billion, Joe, he announces while he's singing in a Ukraine bar, rocking to the free world, Anthony Blinken, that we're going to send another $1 billion or $2 billion more. What? We just approved $60 billion. It's a joke.
Performing Rocket in the Free. What the hell was that is what I was thinking. I mean, this is like the band playing
Cringe.
as the Titanic, as the Titanic sank. Fitting. Maybe someone is about to, quote, rock the free world. Hopefully not. But when we have these people in charge, we can't tell what could happen next. All right, we got to take a break. But up next, did you swim to this country from Cuba or another third world country? Do you like seeing American women in bikinis? Well, then let's get you fast-tracked into our labor force because New York City Mayor Eric Adams has a great paying job for you. We'll talk about it when we return here to Thinking Logically on 99.3 WBVP.
Hey guys, it's Joe from Thinking Logically here to tell you about a company I've been using since I got my learner's permit. Grossi & Associates. Using their state-of-the-art equipment, Grossi & Associates offers collision repair for all makes and models, both foreign and domestic. There's a reason why they are voted Best of the Valley year in and year out. They are the collision experts. Grossi & Associates. Call today for a free estimate.
You know, when Joe Biden shuffles in front of the cameras to answer scripted questions during the day, he lies like Don King. But what you don't know is, when he goes to sleep at night, he lies like an Egyptian king because he uses MyPillow Giza Dream Sheets. Grown only in a region between the Sahara Desert, the Mediterranean Sea, and the Nile River, its long staple cotton makes it ultra soft and breathable. Use the promo code LOGIC to maximize your savings on this amazing product. It's Joe Corsi here from Thinking Logically to tell you about Beaver County's #1 realtor, Mark Gullah with RE/MAX Select Realty. With over 10 years experience, Mark knows all the ins and outs of the real estate business, so whether you're looking to rent, buy, sell, or swap your house, you can rely on Mark to take the hassle out. Mark Gullah of RE/MAX Select Realty, going above and beyond. Cash for your house. PGHbuyers.com. If you have an unwanted house but don't want the hassle of selling, visit PGHbuyers.com to see if PGHbuyers.com can help. No inspections and a fair cash offer. Visit PGHbuyers.com to sell that unwanted property for a fair price today.
The views and opinions expressed on WBVP and WMBA are those of the participants and host. They are not necessarily the viewpoint of WBVP and WMBA, its staff, management, and advertisers. Thank you for listening to WBVP and WMBA.
Welcome back to Thinking Logically on 99.3 WBVP, brought to you by Mitchell's Jewelers. Remember, it takes an enormous amount of pressure to make a diamond. So why should you put yourself under any more pressure when buying one? Don't. Go to Mitchell's Jewelers, where their choice is as clear as their diamonds. Mitchell's Jewelers, located at 2454 Mill Street in Aliquippa, PA. That's 2454 Mill Street in Aliquippa, PA. Okay, so this next story, I might have to go in the corner as I bust into a total laughing fit. This week, New York Mayor Eric Adams said that he thinks illegal aliens could help solve the lifeguard shortage because they're, quote, excellent swimmers. Ryan, whenever you're ready, play this laughable audio, please.
Let me just take your imagination for a moment. If we had a migrant and asylum seeker plan that states those jobs that we are in high demand, we could expedite. How do we have a large body of people that are in our city and country that are excellent swimmers, and at the same time we need lifeguards? And the only obstacle is that we won't give them the right to work to become a lifeguard. That just doesn't make sense. You have a shortage of food service workers, and those who fit the criteria, we're going to expedite you. If you have the experience that you are a nurse, which we have a nursing shortage, and we would expedite you. And that's the same with lifeguards. So,
Okay, Mark, what do you think? Maybe some migrant ship captains, we can hire them to operate in our harbors. We just had another barge hit a bridge in Texas, I believe, this time. Also, there's maybe a chef shortage in New York City. What was that young man from Hades? What was his name again? Barbecue. Can we bring him here and get him a work permit, Mark?
Joe, when I first saw this story, when I saw this come out, I mean, my mind just snapped to you because I was like, I got to send this to Joe. This is, I mean, what else? I mean, if you're trying to argue out there that he didn't mean that, what else could he have possibly meant? He's saying that these illegal migrants are good swimmers and they should be lifeguards in New York City pools for the summer. That is amazing audio. Eric Adams, you should be commended for your misogynist views there for our illegal migrants that you so welcomed into your city. Joe, this is unbelievable. I'm not surprised at all, though.
You had to be COVID vaccinated, which we don't even know what it means anymore, to be a lifeguard in Pittsburgh. But in New York City, all you have to do is swim here from a third world country. I guess that seems
two of the most
significantly
outlandish
harder.
requirements possibly ever for a lifeguard. COVID, fully vaccinated against COVID, and in New York, swam here from Cuba.
We have no idea who these people are coming over and staying in hotels and stuff in New York City. We don't know if they're, former sexual assaulters, rapists, whatever. I mean, I'm sure, as Trump said, some of them are good people, I'm sure. But at the same time, you want these people around children in pools seeing, women in bikinis here? It's a legitimate question.
Mr. CPR.
I forgot about CPR. Oh, my God. All right, we're going to move on to another topic here, but maybe before we can get some cocaine-sniffing migrants from Colombia or something for this next story. Mark, what if I told you more cocaine was found in Washington, D.C., this time at the Capitol Police headquarters? What is the obsession with cocaine being found in places in D.C. where it definitely should never be found?
Cocaine must be rampant in D.C. I mean, there must be a major trafficking network going on in D.C. with this. I mean, you got cocaine in the White House, cocaine in the Capitol. I actually can't believe that they came out and announced that they found it inside the Capitol. Only a few months removed from gay anal sex taking place in one of the Senate hearing rooms. Joe, I thought Biden was supposed to restore decency to Washington, D.C.
Speaking of Biden, all I think of is the meme of the guy. It's an HBO show where he's wearing like the hot dog outfit, and he's just thinking, it's just Hunter in my head. He's thinking, we're all trying to figure out the guy who did this. I think, is that we're all trying to find out the guy who did this, I think is what he's saying. And it's Hunter Biden instead of the guy from that show. You got to know memes, I guess. But how is this possible? And the White House one, they had no idea who it was. It was in a plastic bag where, fingerprints get smudged on plastic bags like it's anything. Couldn't figure out for the life of them who it was. It's amazing. This Capitol Police headquarters, again, I don't know what's going on in Washington, D.C. and why it always involves hard drugs and cocaine and stuff. But, hey, what are you going to do, I guess?
Dan Bongino says they know where the cocaine came from inside the White House, which shouldn't surprise anyone. But they're never going to come out and make it public.
It's amazing what they're able to find out and then what they're not able to find out. The cocaine thing should have been a very easy thing to solve, especially if it was in a locker. Like, that's like policing 101, I feel like. And then you're talking about the Secret Service that already, all the resources in the world makes no sense. No sense at all. But moving on. Speaking of Secret Service, the Slovakian Prime Minister, Mark, was he assassinated? Did he die, or is he still alive?
Last I read on this today is that he is in a medically induced coma. I was telling you, Joe, we talk about predictive programming a lot. We talked about it when we were in our podcast days about how, these shows come out and it's supposed to maybe plant a seed in our brains or maybe be a sign of things to come, something like that. Joe, I believe it was season 2 of Jack Reacher on Amazon Prime Video. Great show. CIA spy thriller. I think I sent you something a while back that the CIA was actually involved in the writing of the show.
I remember that.
If you can recall.
I remember.
In season 2, the Prime Minister of Slovakia gets assassinated. I'm not making this up. I sent it to my dad because my dad watches the show too. I said, Dad, didn't this happen in Jack Reacher? He said, yeah, I believe so. And what do we see happen 2 days ago or a day ago? The Prime Minister of Slovakia, an attempted assassination against his life. He's now in, as I said before, medically induced coma, critical condition, shot by a leftist activist, apparently who supports Ukraine. This Prime Minister of Slovakia, who's along the lines of, we'll call him Viktor Orban, very anti-Ukraine, anti-EU type of thing, type of guy. So you see, Joe, what's going on here?
Well, if you know Robert Fico, which I had to Google him and look up who he was, what he was for, what he was against. He was against the war in Ukraine. He rejected from the beginning the WEF pandemic accords, all them rules they wanted to. And he was very anti-immigration. And then he gets shot. There's only so many coincidences. I mean, I'm sorry. It has to have something to do with that. It's just weird. It's very weird to me. And it makes you wonder, who's behind this person getting shot in this country that's right on the border with Ukraine? I don't know. Could it be maybe Ukraine? And if it was Ukraine, who was behind Ukraine? You mentioned something about a CIA show called Jack Reacher, where CIA agents helped write the show and that happens. That is an amazing coincidence to me. I don't know, though, Mark. Maybe I'm crazy.
Maybe we both are, because this is...
Let's get the comment. Ryan,
coincidence.
Ryan, are you paying attention? What do you think about that? A CIA agent write these shows, and then the show, a Slovakian prime minister gets killed, and then in real life, a few years later, it happens. What are your thoughts?
I'm just watching all this play out. It really is truly is amazing. This on top of a lot of other things that you see when you turn on the news. I almost can't believe anymore what it is I see when I'm turning it on, guys. Unbelievable.
Yeah, are we sure this wasn't the show Jack Reacher? This definitely, it's on X. Yeah, there's everyone reporting it. Yeah, this movie or this TV show plot happened in real life. Amazing.
Is that really on X?
What's that?
Are you reading, or is that really someone on X?
I'm just talking out loud. I'm just talking out loud.
To say,
yeah, life imitates art. But like I said, when you have the people, they admit the people helping write the show are from the CIA. It's just I'm gonna raise some questions here. All right. Speaking of something that has a lot of questions with no answers, COVID. Now this is from Kyle Becker. Breaking: the COVID Select Committee released testimony of Dr. Francis Collins, former NIH director who ran America's COVID response. Highlights: the 6 feet social distancing thing was completely made up. The Wuhan lab leak is not a conspiracy theory. Fauci, according to her, I believe, had an agenda to discredit the lab leak. Fauci also lied. I guess that's just a general statement. And the NIH risked national security with poor Wuhan oversight. Are we ever going to get an answer on COVID? I feel like we find out like all this thing that's supposed to like make people mad and angry, and they shut down our lives, and a lot of people lost money in their businesses, small businesses. Walmart was allowed to stay open, big ones were allowed to stay open. Small businesses had to close. And is anyone still mad at this? Is COVID over? Is it going to be an election issue here in 2024, Mark? What do you think?
We saw this testimony come out from Francis Collins on social distancing was made up, and the lab leak theory wasn't, was actually truth. But I don't know, Joe. I mean, looking back on this is an absolute crime what happened.
Yeah, it is. It is. The COVID, hopefully the select committee is just getting started here. Again, 5-6 months to election. We got that going on. We got the Trump trials going on, being exposed left and right here. We got this election stuff from 2020 in Michigan and Georgia coming out. Interesting time right now in politics in this country. And then we have a debate between the two front runners. In 6 weeks. So, all right.
I do have to have issue correction. It was Jack Ryan, not Jack Reacher.
Okay, Jack Ryan.
Jack Ryan, season 2.
Regardless, I mean, same thing. The CIA agents writing the show again. Hello. That doesn't change anything. Just the last name. All right, we got to take a break. When we come back, though, Prince Vigo von Homburg-Duchendorf, a.k.a. Vigo the Cruel, Vigo the Despised, Vigo the Unholy, he has unveiled a new portrait of himself. Just kidding. That was King Charles, and it made the painting of Vigo from Ghostbusters 2 look like the Mona Lisa. Why in the hell, pun intended actually, does he look like he's on fire burning in hell? Honestly. We'll talk about it after the break. You're listening to Thinking Logically on 99.3 WBVP.
Beaver County Radio, your hometown radio station. You're listening live from the Fry Transportation Studios. Beaver County Radio and Fry Transportation, proud to call Beaver County home.
You know, when Joe Biden shuffles in front of the cameras to answer scripted questions during the day, he lies like Don King. But what you don't know is, when he goes to sleep at night, he lies like an Egyptian king because he uses MyPillow Giza Dream Sheets. Grown only in a region between the Sahara Desert, the Mediterranean Sea, and the Nile River, its long staple cotton makes it ultra soft and breathable. Use the promo code LOGIC to maximize your savings on this amazing product.
Hey guys, it's Joe from Thinking Logically here to tell you about a company I've been using since I got my learner's permit. Grossi & Associates. Using their state-of-the-art equipment, Grossi & Associates offers collision repair for all makes and models, both foreign and domestic. There's a reason why they are voted Best of the Valley year in and year out. They are the collision experts. Grossi & Associates. Call today for a free estimate.
It's Joe Corsi here from Thinking Logically to tell you about Beaver County's #1 realtor, Mark Gullah with RE/MAX Select Realty. With over 10 years experience, Mark knows all the ins and outs of the real estate business, so whether you're looking to rent, buy, sell, or swap your house, you can rely on Mark to take the hassle out. Mark Gullah of RE/MAX Select Realty, going above and beyond.
The views and opinions expressed on WBVP and WMBA are those of the participants and host. They are not necessarily the viewpoint of WBVP and WMBA, its staff, management, and advertisers. Thank you for listening to WBVP and WMBA.
Welcome back to Thinking Logically here on WBVP 99.3 FM, the show where all we do is basically think logically. It's not that hard, guys. Okay, before the break, we were talking about drug-sniffing dogs being replaced by illegal immigrants from Colombia, I believe. Also, lifeguard positions being filled by migrants who, as a prerequisite for the job, had to swim here from another country. We were just talking about, I guess, migrant jobs in general. Are some of these migrants that are cooks and waiters going to be on unemployment soon, though? And that brings us to our next topic. Red Lobster is filing for bankruptcy. And why? The all-you-can-eat scrimps. Mark, are you a shrimp guy?
I love me some scrimps, Joe. But I rarely go to Red Lobster. Can't even tell you the last time I was at Red Lobster. But yeah, what are they ending? They're ending the all-you-can-eat shrimp.
Yeah, I'm trying to pull up the article here. For some reason, it won't let me. I think they were just taking L after L after L on the endless shrimp, and their provider had to maybe raise prices. I mean, it wouldn't be a bad idea. You go there with a family of 5. I mean, I don't know how many people do it. Go with a family of 4 or 5, and maybe 1 or 2 you get the all-you-can-eat bottomless shrimp, and all 4 of you munch on it. Ryan?
Yeah, I mean, I know a few people that we're friends with that could probably put them out of shrimp in a night.
Oh, I know a few people that'll pick up the actual bins with with the shrimps in them and eat them. Ron, are you a big shrimp guy?
You know what? I love Red Lobster. I'm not going to lie. I like the lobster. I like the shrimp. I like the crab. I like it all. But it's alarming because you're seeing more things like this everywhere, and I'm just overall concerned about why everything around us is closing. And
would you say that maybe the quality has gone down since the pandemic? I'll give you an example. Chipotle.
Yeah.
Pre-pandemic Chipotle, amazing. Post-pandemic Chipotle, not as good.
Yeah.
Is Red Lobster like that? Is that the downfall too?
You know what? It just may be. I haven't been to Red Lobster since COVID happened, but that could very well be, right?
It could be.
Speaking of Red Lobster, Joe, I just was up in Robinson not too long ago, and I saw the Buca de Beppo is closed up there.
Really?
Other one bites the dust. Yeah.
I didn't think that place had a chance. Not too many people go out in groups like that anymore, and that was like their thing.
Family style, yeah. I mean, for being Italian, I was a fan of Buca de Beppo. I thought their food was pretty good.
It was. I liked it. I went there a few times. Everything's just, I don't know. People just don't go out as much. Maybe, I don't know. I honestly don't know what it is, what the reason is.
Even if you drive through a town on a Friday night, any given Friday night, it's not the same anymore. The bars that used to have there's no cars in front of bars anymore. There's people, it's not just an illusion. It's not just, people don't go out anymore.
How do we blame Joe Biden for this?
I mean, especially a lot of these chain restaurants. I mean, it's just, they're raising prices. I mean, this is inflation.
Well, why do we have to raise they're raising prices? Joe Biden always talks about, that's how we'll blame him. He always talks about how he's never going to raise any taxes on people that make less than $400,000 a year. I make less than $400,000 a year, and I will say that my taxes have gone up because inflation has gone up. Inflation is a tax you don't get to vote for that gets implemented on you. If inflation's up 10%, you just got taxed 10% more. I don't know why people don't realize that. I don't know why it's so hard to understand. But somehow we were able to blame it on Joe Biden.
Today, Joe, it was like inflation is up 20% since he took office, cumulative.
Yes, you got to say that word. It's cumulative. Yes.
Yeah. So take that 20%, and then combine that with, if he wins again, he's already stated he's going to raise taxes and roll back the Trump tax cuts. People are going to be paying thousands of dollars more. It's going to get worse in the next 4 years when people's taxes go up and they're paying more money to the government to send, so they could send it to Ukraine. I mean, God forbid if we lose this election. That's all I could say. Talk
about a crooked system. And speaking of crooked systems, that brings us to our next topic, our crooked financial system. Game Stonk went up, what was it, like 200 and some percent from like $16 a share. I think at one point it was like $80 a share. And former SEC chair Jay Clayton said, if Roaring Kitty, so they've all blamed this on this guy named Roaring Kitty sending out a tweet for the first time in 3 years. He said, if Roaring Kitty is so excited, why can't he come on CNBC and talk about the stocks he likes? Why is he tweeting memes? We have to question if this is legal or not. Now, Admit on X says, Bill Ackman can say one thing on CNBC while his team is doing the exact opposite. Warren Buffett can literally get permission from the SEC to not have to disclose a secret stock he's been accumulating for 8 months, but Roaring Kitty can't tweet memes. This is why people feel compelled to buy these stocks and go against the financial system. Also, before I give it to you, Mark, one more tweet. This is from Unusual Wells on X. Yesterday, the former SEC chair said that Roaring Kitty manipulated the GMC shares by tweeting memes. Yet today, Senator Tommy Tuberville is trading options on companies he legislates, and Pelosi's portfolio hit an all-time high. I believe she's made a couple $1 million this year. Silence, though, from the SEC chair. Mark, how rigged is our financial system and why?
Well, I mean, you've had some success in the stock market, with options and whatnot, but it seems like the stock market is set up to benefit the whales, the big players on Wall Street to get rich. I don't have a full understanding of how short stocks works and things like that. I'm not into that realm. You know a little bit more than that about that than I do, but it just seems like the whole system is set up like for example, yesterday, I think it was, or 2 days ago, like they actually stopped trading on GameStop and on AMC and some of these other stocks that were going to the moon. So I don't know. It just seems like it's just a rigged system.
Well, it is completely manipulated. And also remember, the stock market is not the economy. So when Joe Biden starts touting how good the stock market is doing, ask yourself next time you go buy groceries, you really feel like it's that great. All right, let's move on to another death of a former Obama, I guess, official. Peggy Wood and her wife, Hope Wood, are dead after a head-on crash in San Diego County, the medical examiner says. Mark, when are people going to learn that it's very dangerous to work for former President Barack Obama, whether you're a chef or just a former official?
Seems like Obama's the new Clinton family. A lot of people in this orbit, just like in the Clinton orbit, are coming up dead. So very weird. Seems like a tragic accident that happened. They were killed in a head-on crash. But, just very tragic.
They knew something, just like that chef knew something. Michelle's probably running. Just wait till the convention. We'll conspiracy land right now, but we'll touch on it in the next few weeks.
Speaking of chef, did you see South Park? They are taking on. They're going to be releasing a new special, Joe, on Ozempic.
Really?
Can't wait for that. Yeah.
Is it going to be on what is the station?
Paramount or Max, I think.
Okay, I think I still have that. All right, we got about 4 minutes left. We got to cover King Charles, and I don't even know where to start with this, Mark. We could talk about reversing the image and it being Baphomet. This was kind of scary. This picture, this portrait. I mean, the curling horns and everything you could see in the background.
I mean, why? That's my only question. Why? Why have this portrait made of you? It's literally the entire thing's almost red except his face. I just don't understand. I mean, are they putting it out there? It's almost like they're rubbing it in our faces. Like, here you go. Figure it out.
Do you remember, I think we mentioned this, the bloodied horse that ran across London, I think it was about a month ago, a little less than a month ago maybe.
Yes.
I wonder, did the horse paint the picture? What was that about? Why that color? Why that scheme? And why on earth do you see Baphomet? That's such a weird name, Baphomet. Of all people to see Baphomet, the picture of Baphomet, I think you do it 4 times and inverse it or just reverse it, fold it in half, you'll see Baphomet. What is happening in this? Every day things get weirder and it just seems like people don't even notice. And when the King of England is unveiling a picture like this, a self-portrait like this. I mean, this is the Ghostbusters 2 did this already. It did not turn out well. Go ahead, Ryan.
And, we talk about, how things are just bizarre in these times. If you would look back at any time and see say, hey, look at this picture that the king had made, and it was that, you'd have a lot of questions, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
It's not just because it's right now, it's because it's king. This happens any time. If you would look back in a history book and see that picture, you'd think 9 out of 10 people would say, "What? I want some answers. What is this?"
Yeah, he looks like Vlad the Impaler. Like how I have a portrait of Vlad the Impaler, I think the original Dracula.
Yeah,
the human Dracula.
Very bizarre. So
very
bizarre.
satanic looking.
Yes,
covered in blood or fire. Like 2 things you don't want to be covered in: blood or fire. Did he just take a bloodbath? Did he just take a bloodbath? Is he? You know how the royals are. I don't know. Maybe bloodbaths are really nice. Maybe that's like the new thing, like the sauna for the royals.
And he's not this artistic, creative musician.
No,
he's the king. Come on.
I don't get it. And then when you add it with the bloody horse running down the main streets of London.
Running down the main streets of London. Yep. Amazing.
Actually, hold on one second.
We haven't got an update lately on how he's dealing with this cancer.
No, we're not. I can't. I'm just like dumbfounded looking at this picture. We have like 2 minutes left, and I'm just wasting the time, just picking my jaw up off the floor. Look at why. Who chose this? I need to know so much more. Who painted this? Who chose it? I mean, I would have gasped if I was in the audience and I was, that would have been like my reaction, not like, wow, yeah, nice. Like, I mean,
Baphomet.
Mirrored you got to mirror it and invert it for those in the audience listening. Look up the picture, mirror it and invert it. All right, Mark, we're running out of time here. Anything you want to say before we head out?
I heard Josh Shapiro's name floated, Joe, as a potential replacement for Joe Biden if he doesn't make it to the ballot on the ballot in November. So keep an eye on Josh Shapiro. Thank you to Ryan, our producer. Thank you to all of our listeners out there. Happy Pentecost weekend to all the Catholics and Christians over there. This weekend we celebrate the coming of the Holy Spirit, and we need the Holy Spirit more than ever in this world. Joe, great show.
Thank you very much. The show is Thinking Logically. We're on from 5 to 6 p.m. Monday through Thursday, although that might change on Monday with high school basketball or high school baseball. Stay tuned for that. But we will be here next Monday and next Thursday. We can't wait. Guys, thank you very much. Have a great day.
You're listening to 99.3 FM, presented by St. Barnabas, in addition to 1230 W.